Okay, hey guys, and hey myself in the future. Today it is like 11:25 right now, and I'm still working because I just finished my coding stuff, which is for my CBT. Now I have a little bit of free time, so I'm gonna use this time for 10 minutes baking before I go to sleep. And because it is a little bit late for now, so I have to do it first and then go to sleep early. Actually, it's not early anymore. Okay, so let's do it. You know the saying, you just at your best. I would say that's you be the best. Is being top 20% of class good enough for you? No. If you want something, you got to get after it, and then you start producing good results, and then you will build confidence along the way. So the suggest here 10 study techniques that I script by as medical students. They have made it into medicines and I use this on a day-to-day basis. Half of them focus on the actual study techniques and the other half focus on the study mentality, which is just important. Let's start with the first one. First, you study from the testable core materials hours. So let's say the project represents all the information that is presented to you and the start in the middle is the testable material. Someone who doesn't know how to study will go from top to bottom, covering every single detail. And when exam time comes, they haven't covered like 20 to 30% of what is testable. For someone who knows how to study, we start from the middle. You know, to study from the core materials. This is testable and then study hours. And then when the exam time comes, although you haven't studied everything, let's study what is important and what is testable. I know you want to be the best student as possible. I want to be the best doctor as possible. So in studying, we have this tendency to try to learn everything, but we have to make this mindset shift from focusing on those long-term goals to short-term goals. And those short-term goals is really taking the courses, is to pass and get good grades in every midterm and every exam that's presented before you. And then those long-term goals will take care of themselves. So you know what is testable or not. There are three ways of figuring that out. First is to look for my process tests or reverse tests. Sometimes the lectures give you a couple of questions that is in a lecture to go over on, pay attention to those. I also looked at online in undergrad to figure out if there are any process tests lying around. And I asked seniors if they have taken the course and if they had any process material. And I asked my friend who was also taking the course, you know, you're going to use your resources to figure out if there are any additional study materials that you can use to have a thing like SML, not a learner. So you're going to go for materials, always managing in your mind, how can I study it in a multiple choice format? How can I study this in a short answer format? And then try to learn that way. Number two on the list is to write good concise notes and then plan out your timing for all your midterms and all exams. And then constantly evaluate your studying so that you're not falling behind. So example, let's just say you're taking 5 courses and before midterm you got to go over 10 lectures per course. And then each lecture has 50 slides and totals to 2500 slides you have to go over before midterm. So you have to write a good concise note that summarizes everything as makes it manageable for you to go over the materials before you write a midterm so you're not overloaded. You should write good notes and sentences as possible containing keywords and important information. You know that if you don't remember something from your note, you have your previous lines that you can always go back on. Number three on the list is to use active recall when you're learning. I mean, really honest, basically that you can watch, but let me expand it on that further here. Let me start off by giving you examples of students who don't know how to study. So when presented with information like mitochondria is part of a cell, the way is without thinking, that's right. I think that's going to come into the brains. So what I do when I'm going over my notes is I read information, I read only the keywords, and then as opposed to looking at my notes, I look at the keywords. For example, what is mitochondria? And then I try to think mitochondria is the part of powerhouse of the cell, or the powerhouse of the cell. And then I try to supplement information for the electric power of the cell because it produces ATP. So I'm using all of my senses. I'm writing down, which is my tactical motion. I'm saying things out, which is verbal. I'm looking at my notes. Previously, I'm using my visual cues, And I'm saying, and this is also using auditory such as sometimes when you're actively recalling, you cannot remember all the information. That is okay because studies have shown that just by attempting to recall, you're getting the connection between the information and your memory. Number four, I cannot emphasize this enough. Reviewing is just as important as learning new information. So you have to just to go over which book midterm, for example, it's supposed to go to 1 to 20 and then go back to 1 to 20. By the way, I go to 1 to 5 and then I review 2 to 5 quickly and then move from 6 to 10. Then with 6 to 10, even more quickly, I go over 1 to 5 and then I look over 6 to 10 and then I go into 11 to 15. After that, you have to take time to study before midterm so that you actually cover everything. Number five is more a mentality thing. You have to study harder for your midterms than your final exams. You're gonna only study hard for your final exam, but you have to study harder your midterms because that's the setup for the turn for the entire course. Let's say you get a bad mark on a midterm and then the entire course, it's a catch up game. Worrying the whole time, probably 2 to 3 months, worrying about whether you're going to get a good enough final mark so that you can make up for getting a bad mark on your midterms. Number six is having a strong mindset toward school year. I'm gonna come across it a little harsh here, but you know what I'm saying. You should do your best. I would say freaking you gotta be the best. Is your best really is top 1% of your class? Is your best top 1% of your class? The program you want to get into in the hand has less than 10% accepted grades. Is being top 20% of your class good enough for you? No. If you don't, what is the thing you're gonna get after it? And then you start producing good results and then you build confidence along the way. Number seven is putting the work in hard networking, which is kind of tentative to put in this video because they are study technique video. But compared to someone who knows only techniques, study techniques, but doesn't work hard, someone who doesn't know basic any technique, but they just putting in hours in studying and getting the information into the brain, is always going to be the person with study techniques. I was the brightest person in my class, so what I did was I just literally I will take one. How do you know that? I walked into the library before everyone else, and I walked out of the library after everyone else. I spent my time studying on Friday night, Saturday night, where everyone was like going on partying, and where I was, when I was not a student that was living in the library at the same time at time, and he is now a career surgery student at in UFI. I think that happened. So you're gonna have to outwork everyone if you really want to be successful. You might be getting a tutor, study partner, and friend who wanted as part of you. If you think it's gonna be hard to find them, well, if you start studying late night and the library after the time, then across these guys. It's hard to come in the library in the morning and leave in late night coming on weekends. But in the crowd, I had a group of friends who had actually studied good and we didn't disrupt each other. When it was time to study, we didn't interrupt each other. And when it person was took care of, we went out and had fun. Number nine is staying consistent and staying on top of everything, especially in medicine where there's like million things going on. If I start to lose track of things, I get super stressed. So I have to be on the top of every email. I have to be on top of every, assessments and all the work I have to do. In the work, you're dealing with five courses, lots of extracurriculars, and everything going on. So you have to stay on top of everything so that you don't fall behind, get stressed. Let me give you an example of consistency and why it's so important. Have student A and student B. Student A is working on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, 2 hours each. Student B has to work on Fridays but has Saturday and Sunday off. And student B has fallen behind student A by 24 hours. So no matter how hard they tried, the sex on Monday studying 14 hours is equal to 2 hours. Instead of studying 16 hours, this guy is always saying catch up. See, we on a curve in university and the crash is just going to be able to compete against student A. Number 10 is after the controlling your study and you worry when you're going to school. There are two types of worriers. One is someone who doesn't study and worried about not studying. But the solution to that is simple, you should study. Number two is this contact warrior is someone who worries despite having done all the stories. And when you do the position, then you need to write out what you're worried about. So on a notebook, or not an iPad or whatever, you're worried about, you should not seeing what you worry about. So divide a line halfway in the middle, write out what you can control and what you cannot control. And something like what you can control is wake up early, going to the library and studying for X amount of hours and staying focused when you're studying. We cannot control is also grades that I'm going to get for this course. So if I'm worried who I'm going to be a B, I'm going to B plus, I'm going to A minus, A plus. You cannot control that. Just focus on what you can control until you just have to give up on what you cannot control. Okay, so that is the end of my video for today. So I don't want to waste time anymore because I have to speak slowly. I don't want to waste time anymore because I have to go to sleep. So okay, so bye for now.